Bases dropped on Wall Pass Wednesday here at SDH AM. John, hear you there. I think I got it in before 9:06. So here's the deal. We got some stuff to talk about. Tyler Pilgrim set to join us in just a little bit. Busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler, set to join us at 10 o'clock. Kaylor Hodges, live on tape. After all of the chaos that happened in the opening round of the USL Championship when it came to the playoffs, postseason, and then you had the news that came out yesterday. We put the bat signal out, and so we caught up with Kaylor to ask him about what's been going on with Colorado Springs and with everything else that's going on USL off the field in USL Championship plus round one of the playoffs. So Kaylor Hodges joining us last half hour of the show. We're probably going to go a little long because of everything that we've got to get into. Just to give you an idea, we've got to get into the Champions League yesterday. We've got to get into FA Cup because it affects someone that we follow on a regular basis. We have news in Major League Soccer about a coaching addition. We now have a hire in New England. The folks that didn't make it, those finalists came out as well. And then news out of Italy involving Stadia and a lot of stuff going on off the field overseas involving players being threatened at gunpoint by agents, teams being charged because their fans put up banners that weren't very nice, and you have health and welfare discussions with FIFPro and all of the things. And so that's kind of where we are this morning. Anything that I might have missed, go ahead and let us know. Morning Pars, morning David, morning 110M, and morning Alex. We're going to start with a little bit of this, if I can get to it real quick. So here's the deal. 10:15 on FS2, Peacock, and where else is it going to be? 10:15 this morning. I saw the note, and it's on multiple networks. So FS2, Peacock, and Universo. The U17s have their debut for the U.S. Starting lineup includes Cooper Sanchez, wearing number 15 for the tournament. Lineup against Burkina Faso, it is Aiden Stokes, Gio Villa, Pedro Guimaraes, Christopher Cups, Ramiz Hamuda from Birmingham Legion, Mfasa Berkimas, who we know from Crown Legacy when you listen to and or watch Atlanta United 2, either in person, on the network, what have you. Jude Terry, Maximo Carrizo, who is definitely turning into a force to be reckoned with. We've seen him with NYCFC 2, and now he's wearing the captain's armband this morning, our time, this afternoon overseas, and it is Matisse Albert, Cooper Sanchez, and Julian Hall. Stokes, Villa, Guimaraes, Cups, Hamuda, Berkimas, Terry, Carrizo wearing the captain's armband, Matisse Albert, Cooper Sanchez, and Julian Hall. So that's your lineup for the U17s as they start their World Cup tour in a little over an hour. So we're going to keep an eye on that on the Big 55 in the second hour of the show, and we'll let you know what's going on there. So far in the U17s, and I guess this is just going to go ahead and turn into opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There is your QR code. And you hit that QR code, what you do is you start your day with our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. We ask that you buy out the store, but you get to use the code Soccer Down Here 15 when you do buy out the store. So you buy out the store to 15% discount. They, in turn, meaning Kickoff Coffee, to have a pronoun attached to an actual predicate noun, they, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives, stuff that they earmark as cool, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay, so here's the deal. As we load up the U17s this morning, what happened yesterday after we went off the air? Switzerland 4-1 winner over Ivory Coast. Brazil 7-0 over Honduras. Korea Republic, South Korea 2-1 winners over Mexico in a bit of a surprise. Egypt 4-1 over Haiti. Germany and Colombia a 1-1 draw. Venezuela shuts out England 3-0. North Korea over El Salvador. Korea DPR over El Salvador 5-0. Zambia over Indonesia 3-1. This morning in the 79th minute, Czechia is leading Tajikistan 4-1 with 10 minutes to go in Group I. Panama trails Ireland 4-0, and that one is on the Big 55 right now. They're in the 83rd minute. Player just went down in the box, and we've got play on. So Republic of Ireland is leading Panama 4-0 with about 10 to go. Uzbekistan has started the second half with a 2-0 lead on Paraguay. Austria and Saudi Arabia are goalless in the 40th. 9:45, so in about a half hour, Mali and New Zealand. And in about an hour, it is the USA and Burkina Faso. That is in Group I. We'll go over who else is in Group I that we need to pay attention to. France at 10:45 is taking on Chile. That one is on Telemundo Deportes Ahora and Fox Soccer Plus. And on Telemundo at 10:45, it is Canada and Uganda. So the U.S. is in Group I. And if things were to load and we could scroll down the page, I could tell you what else it looks like. So Group I is Czechia, Burkina Faso, the USA, and Tajikistan. You would anticipate that it's probably the U.S. and Czechia for the top spot anticipated in Group I. But once again, Czechia with their win over Tajikistan 4-1. They are right now temporarily with the only match being completed in the group right now. They're on top. But USA, Burkina Faso in about an hour. We're going to keep an eye on that on the Big 55. And we'll let you know what's going on here all around the world. That's what we're here on a Wall Pass Wednesday. Once again, anticipating Tyler coming up. Yes, yeah, Dell, it is U17. It is the U17 tournament. We're keeping an eye on that. Like I said, Cooper Sanchez, Atlanta United, he is getting the start for the U17s and the U.S. this morning. So it is Wall Pass Wednesday. Obviously, there's a lot that we got to get into. We got Champions League. We got stuff off the field involving Premier League stuff. The results yesterday, your juice boxes today, FA Cup matchups. MLS, once again, we've got a new coach announcement. We're starting to get those trickling in, which reminds me I need to write down this particular coach and what it looks like in that particular team, possibly, probably. Now, like I said, news out of Italy and also stuff going on off the field. So that's what we have going on this morning before Tyler joins us. See, now that's cool. Dell has a friend over there with the squad, physio. Dell, have him bring back gear. Seriously, have him stuff his duffel bag with gear. Literally find out how much things cost, and I will Venmo or do whatever to get U17 stuff from Morocco here in the office. Yes, please ask Nathan. We thank you for this. So, hey, Nathan, how much time do you have to do shopping while you're there? Let me know. So, yeah, I will get U17 stuff, and we will hang it in here, especially if it's like team attached or team adjacent. So, yes, Dell, please ask Nathan. We thank you for that. So, Dell's in this morning, Abby's in this morning, and 110. I don't know. I don't know if it is if it is that particular topic on a Wednesday, but we will continue to effort that information as it does come to the fore. Like I said, other teams have been naming their replacements or their coaches in waiting, Lane Kiffin, Mac Brown kind of stuff. So we'll get into that obviously with Tyler and with Dylan. If Dylan is not the busiest man in the Northeast, slightly after 10 o'clock. Like I said, 10:30, Kaylor Hodges is going to join us live on tape to talk about everything going on USL Championship, with what happened with North Carolina FC, with what happened with the playoffs, and with what has gone on in off the field and all of the other things that have been going on USL Championship. You had coaches and sporting directors fired yesterday in Colorado Springs. So all the stuff. Raleigh, Colorado Springs, playoffs, Kaylor, 10:30, USL Players Association's kind of hot with the situation at North Carolina. Don't have any other updates, I don't believe. I can go back and circle back and see if we have any other updates. But to have the information come out when it did before the season was over definitely sets definite black clouds over what's going on with North Carolina FC as they get ready for Rhode Island FC on the weekend, as the playoffs continue in USL Championship with a team that is basically playing out the string, literally and figuratively. Done. And for those of you that might have missed it, let me recap this for you. But North Carolina FC, after this season, is done. And it was announced yesterday that the team is not going to field a squad in the 2026 season. Finished third, once again, waiting on Rhode Island FC. And all players under contract will be released, can sign elsewhere. Players with a guaranteed contract through next season now end after 25 and get about 2 months' salary. Sources added North Carolina had applied for membership in USL's new Division I league, set to start in 28. Club's plan is to wait until then to field a men's team again. The current USL membership for North Carolina FC expires after this year. So I imagine it's something along the lines of charters that are renewable. And North Carolina FC is opting not to renew that charter to be in USL Championship next year. They're lying in wait, and they're waiting for the Division I element to come forward in USL and jump in on that in 2028. They've got to find a bigger stadium, or they have to add to Wake Med, as we know it, in Cary, because it only seats 10. So we've got to keep an eye on that stadium solution and waiting for all of those things as well. And once again, it's going to be follow the Raleigh media, the Raleigh-Durham television media and sports talk and everything, because it's a normal week for North Carolina FC when it comes to access and practice and when the media is allowed to go. I have not seen anything from the club that has said things are going to change when it comes to access. But right now, practice times were listed yesterday, access listed, and how to go to practice and what you can shoot and all those kinds of things. I haven't seen an addendum to what is going on. So let me see if there is actually an addendum. So let me see if there is anything going on with North Carolina FC, or what email legitimately what the practice schedule is this week. So NCFC. All right. So do this and do this. Okay. So Eastern Conference semi. Okay. So we know this. And so NCFC will do it again. And all right. So then you got the RSVPs, the training schedule this morning is set to go from 9:30 to 11. It's 9:30 to 11 all week long, according to the club. And then you have to RSVP you have to attend training. And there has been nothing different that is restricting access or what have you to North Carolina FC this week. So apparently access is normal, questions abnormal. So we'll see what's going on with North Carolina FC. But the biggest thing is Kaylor Hodges, USL show, the USL show, joins us at 10:30 to talk about everything there, USLPA, all of that stuff, Colorado Springs, playoffs, and how crazy round one is as we get you ready for round two on the weekend. So that's the show this morning as we have it. So continuing opening kickoff stuff, I'll answer that in a bit because there's emails that are pouring in that I do need to answer. Okay, so here's what else is going on in and around the world, since we're kind of in an opening kickoff until Tyler joins us, and we have a story that's attached to why Tyler has not joined us 4 minutes ago. We do have a story for Tyler coming up in a bit. Or Tyler has a story for us. Who am I kidding? All right, so here is what is going on news-wise, kind of this morning, and this is how we work our way through things. Okay, so. The news out of Italy, which is interesting and intriguing all at the same time. Inter and Milan have confirmed the deed of sale with the municipality of Milan for the land to build a new stadium, which will replace the San Siro. Manica and Foster and Partners, who are also behind Manchester United's proposed new stadium, like the big pictures of the gazillion-dollar new stadium. They're appointed to oversee design and development of the stadium and the master plan for the surrounding area as a part of the project. A new center of excellence will also be established. That was the emphasis on the center of excellence. And of course, since it was Ben, it was CNTRE, but a center of excellence is going to be a part of this new proposed reworking of the San Siro. And signatures on the deed have arrived, and so this is coming from. I'm going to go ahead and accept it. So this is going to be hopefully okay. So no, I don't want that. from our friends at Il Sole 24 Ore. Sale of the stadium and surrounding areas to the two Milan clubs for approximately 197 million, and I'm guessing this is euro finalized. So, and this is once again translated from Italian. So you have signing the deed to the San Siro, the real estate compendium called Grande Funzione Urbana San Siro, including the Giuseppe Meazza Stadium and the neighboring building areas, thus passes into the ownership of the two Milanese clubs, implementing the resolution definitively approved by the City Council back on September 30. Agreed purchase price amounts to 197.8 million euro. By signing the purchase agreement, the two clubs have committed to pay into the coffers of Palazzo Marino just under 92 million each. Rest of the sum paid in several tranches, partly calculated on the basis of the gross area of the new stadium in view of the completion of the partial demolition works of the Meazza. Banco BPM, Inter's historical partner and now Milan's, has guaranteed with a first demand surety payment of the deferred price for around 124 million euro. Some of the protection clauses desired by the City Council were included in the purchase agreement. Two teams were asked to take more action against organized crime, in addition to the planned regulations, with the establishment of white lists of companies involved in the work and the realization of the project. 14 million euro in environmental sustainability projects, in addition to the carbon neutrality targets to be achieved, the guarantee by the adoption of the measures for accessibility inclusion against all forms of discrimination, limiting to a maximum of 5 million any bonuses in the captain's park, the earn out, i.e. the request for a percentage of any capital gains realized in the event of sale to a third party before 5 years. The municipality also reserves the right of first refusal on any resale of part or all of the areas at a price equal to or lower than the purchase price. 50% of the gross surface area shall not be cemented and shall be destined to deep green. 80,000 square meters of green shall be ceded to the municipality, maintained by the companies for 30 years. Palazzo Marino shall contribute a maximum of 22 million euro to participate in the reclamation and demolition costs. The investment planned by the two clubs is approximately 1.2 to 1.4 billion euro, 700 million for a modern 71,500 seat facility. Design and realization has been entrusted to Foster and Partners in Studio Manica. Aim of opening in 2031, hosting the Euros in the Euro Championship in 2032. The structure will have two large rings with an inclination designed to guarantee optimal visibility from every sector, built on a podium that will serve as access for the fans that on days when there are no matches will become a large square integrated with surrounding park 365 days a year. All that will remain in the old stadium is a piece of the South Bend, which will be refurbished. Now, the key in all of this was that they had to come up with a sale date because you were getting close to the point where if you didn't meet your sale date, then you would have to basically live with the San Siro as is, because you had to you were going to tear down the stadium, and it had to be finalized before the 10th of this month. When the second tier, which was completed 70 years ago on November the 10th, so 1955, November 10, takes on historical significance and would become almost impossible to tear down. So it was like a historical monument, or like the history center in your hometown sits there and names something as a historical monument that you can't touch. You can't renovate it. You can't touch it. Once you hit 70 years old, which would have been 5 days from now, if you hadn't gotten everything cleared in 5 days, then that second tier became a historical landmark, and then you would have had to have gone over all the other different hoops to try and sit there and get that fixed, renovated, torn down, whatever. And the city basically would have taken the Dikembe Mutombo finger at you and gone, no, 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 no. So that's where you are. They made it with 5 days to spare. And so now the San Siro looks like it is going to be renovated to the tune of 1.2 to 1.4, so the venue can host the European Championship in a handful of years. So they made the deadline by 5 days. Otherwise, you were going to be talking about some really hot folks if that was not going to happen. So that's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, there's your QR code for those of you who are hanging out with us. And you hit that QR code, you start your day, you kick off your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And so then use the code soccer down here, 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvest it. Youth games, youth initiatives brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Now we're going to bring in Tyler because Tyler has some splaining to do. Well, actually, technically, his computer has some splaining to do.
Yeah.
And so Tyler, being the mensch that he is, he alerted me to this, that there were going to be issues. And so now what I am going to do is I am going to show, if I can work the reflection and not have it reflect, where Tyler's computer was when it came to updating this morning as we were getting ready for the show. You see that's at about 50%. And that literally is what? When did you send that? 6 minutes.
About 9:19.
Yeah, so 9:19 to 9:21. Tyler's computer had only updated to 50%, and you just have this vision of Tyler sitting there stomping his feet and doing this as he's trying to sit there. And anytime we ever want anything done quickly on our time, whatever we're staring at that needs to complete is basically sitting there and going, nah, not going to do it. No, I'm not in a rush. You might be in a rush, but I'm not in a rush. I'm going to do this on my own sweet time. And your computer apparently did just that this morning.
100%. I was like, oh, surely 25 minutes before I'm supposed to get on with John, this update will be done.
Oh,
it'll be done. No issues.
No.
And then, so I hit it and it's like, oh, it's a 14 gig download. And I'm like, okay, well,
whoa.
Yeah. But I'm like, all right, I got pretty fast internet. Like it should be fine. Right. The download wasn't the problem. And it sat there. This is when I knew I might have a problem. This is when I originally texted you. I was like, it said, all right, like download complete, updating. And then it said 5 minutes remaining. Well, it said on 5 minutes remaining for about 10 minutes. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So then we started getting into it, and then the little progress bar was happening. And I was like, let me go ahead and message him and at least give him an idea.
I mean, that's the thing is that whenever we want something, Dell wants to know if you still have Windows.
No, because of my job, I am pretty much fully Apple at this point, though everybody else in my house uses Microsoft.
Okay. So now that things have updated, is it properly updated, or are there still things working in the background that you are having to tap dance around while you're with us?
No, I think it's updated. Now I might have to go in here and dip and dodge notifications and things that are popping up, but I don't think it's going to be doing any more actual updates.
Yeah, because we don't need you to duck, dodge, and dip while you're on a segment live. We've had a couple of things happen off the field with coaches. We've had some things happen on the field with match day threes. Where would you like to start, sir? Question mark.
Well, I know the coaching stuff is probably the most recent. I'm down with that. I'm down with any of it, honestly.
All right. So then let's talk coaching stuff. And it is apparent that two teams with vacancies, there are no longer vacant, or at least they are on the train to not being vacant. It appears that New England looks like they are taking from the U.S. men's national team umbrella, and it looks like Marko Mitrovic, the head coach of the U20s, is heading that way. It was announced this morning, I think Caleb Pongratz posted it to his socials, that the other two finalists were Vanni Sartini and Josh Wolf. And so those were the up at the who's what's it's the whatchamacallit.
The finalists.
Yeah, the finalists, and Caleb, I thought he was attached to Blazing Musket, but he's just Spot Track Revs, Rhode Island, and he's working for Prost. So it looks like Marko Mitrovic might be the one that is going to be named head coach of the Revs. Nothing official, I don't think, in my emails as of yet. But Josh Wolf and Vanni Sartini, the other two finalists for the gig that eventually goes to Mitrovic.
I always get very interested with kind of like these finalist type things, because some coaching hires you find out, oh, they were up against, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And others you never find out anything. And in this one, I'm curious as to what the thought process was and like what it was that Mitrovic kind of portrayed overall.
Mhm.
Because I just feel like if Sartini was another one, to me that seems like a better fit. I think for an MLS team, it's nothing against Mitrovic at all, but I'm just like, if that were the case, you have a guy in Sartini who I think admittedly has a little bit more,
He's got the postseason pedigree at the very least.
I mean, at the least, yeah, but I just think also, like, there's a little bit more recency to
Yeah.
everything that he's been doing,
Right.
and, with the US team, like, essentially, Mitrovic has been dealing with young adults for the past 3 or 4 years in a national team setting, and the national team setting we know is night and day compared to a club setting, so, I don't know, it was just interesting to
Well,
me.
so then let me pose this, and Caleb dials it back to Tommy Scoops, who had it yesterday. So with what we know about Revolution 2 and all of the young firepower that has come through there, that has gradually made its way up to the first team, could this be something in line where Marko Mitrovic he's used to the younger talent. He knows how to navigate younger talent to make them give 100% of what he knows they can give out there on the field. Could this be linked to all of those younger talents that we know and what we've seen from Revs 2 that have made their way up toward first team minutes to give that younger voice and that younger level of experience with Mitrovic, who knows how to handle those young athletes?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I was taking a quick look at, um kind of the list of Revs players
Mm-hmm.
that made it onto that most recent U20 World Cup roster, and there is a grand total of one,
Yeah.
and that is Peyton Miller.
Yeah.
But that's kind of beside the point. But to your point, yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to really, really try to implement and reinforce your academy in, you mentioned the Revs 2.0, like we're in MLS, I don't know, 4.0, I think at this point, and I think any truly good team that's going to set themselves up for long-term success has to start putting a lot more emphasis on their academy and on the pipeline in general. And so, um, yeah, I mean, if he's kind of got, his hand in that proverbial,
Cookie jar.
yeah, I'll say cookie jar. I was going to say something else, but cookie jar.
That bowl of chowder.
But I mean, yeah, if he's obviously involved continually, then yeah, I mean, you have to look at that and say, all right, it's a great hire then as long as you start to see some of these kids, quote unquote kids,
Mm-hmm.
get time. And that doesn't mean that, come February 2026, he runs out like 5 out of his 11 starting 11 as young kids, but like I would hope that you start seeing a lot of that academy getting more time, kind of get thrown into not the full fire, not into the actual frying pan, but maybe like a lukewarm frying pan.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to be said for it for sure.
You're
But it's a
staring
risk.
you're staring at a roster that's got Shankalai, Carlos Heel, both contract through next year, option years for 27. Obviously, Matt Turner's in the U22 players they have, and they've opted for the 3-and-3 model. Eli Feingold, Luca Langoni, and Dor Turgeman. Your TAM players at the end of this season: Campana, Ceballos, Mamadou Fofana, Ganago, who's on loan, Jackson Ewell through 27, Al Hassan Yusuf through 27. Then you have the other players: Tanner Beeson, Alex Bono through 26, Brandon By out of contract, Andrew Farrell an option year, Omsberg an option year, Alan O'Yurwath through 28, option for 29, Polster through 27, Will Sands 26, your supplementals. Malcolm Fry through 26. Keegan Hughes, you have to make a decision on. Eric Klein is a homegrown through 26. Demario McIntosh through 28. Peyton Miller through 27. And Jack Paniotu, if you decide to recall him, through 26. Donovan Parisian through 26. And Santi Suarez is a supplemental slot 31. So there is some youth there. But once again, you've got to balance that with the firepower that you have and hope that it's going to come in healthy and someone that can probably, if you're a Revs fan, draw the offense out of Leo Campana that was there in other places that seemed to have gotten lost when he was with the Revs to a certain degree because everybody was focused on him, Carlos Gil, and Tomas Shankali when he was healthy.
Yeah, and that's kind of to that point with whatever offseason moves that the Revs decide to make. I mean, I've said this about a couple teams going back to last year.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like they need any kind of like serious wholesale change.
Yeah.
I think it's tweaking little things. And yeah, if he's going to step in and try to draw some more out of the academy as well, you never know what you might get out of a couple of those kids. So, but ultimately, yeah, like you have one of the best number 10s in the league. You should be creating chances, and you've got to figure out, Campana reminds me in a lot of ways of Brandon Vasquez and in this, like this idea that he has the fundamentals, I really feel, to be like an above average forward in this league. And now Brandon Vasquez showed it because he played with a team that 1 year definitely just complimented him in every way. And to a degree, he was also kind of playing out of his mind. That happens. We like when that happens.
Yeah.
It's always fun. I feel like Campana has that same kind of skill set, that same, he's a big dude. Like he can make it happen. And so if I'm Mitrovic stepping in, my number one priority is figuring out what kind of tweaks overall I can make. If he's going to be one of your main guys up top, how can I get him involved a lot more?
Mm-hmm. And then the other one, Los Angeles, it looks like they are promoting from within. And Mark Dos Santos, the faithful lieutenant, looks like he is going to be the one to take over for Steve Cherundolo whenever the season is over. Once again, Tommy Scoop's letting us know about that one too. And, it is one of those where I look at LAFC, and I know a lot of folks do, and they sit there and it's like they see the RTD bus going down the road, and they look at the bus driver, and the bus driver is Mark Dos Santos. All you've got to do, Mark Dos Santos, is do this. All you've got to do, hang on to the steering wheel.
Yeah, man.
Don't play video games with one hand. Don't text with one hand. Make sure your mirrors work. Make sure your brakes work. It's like, Mark, we're going to give you this. We're going to give you this bus. Make sure that this bus hits all of its stops and doesn't turn into Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock in Speed. Just do this.
Great movie.
And we will continue to just go right down the line with what we've got. So it looks like Mark Dos Santos taking over for Cherundolo at the end of the season.
I'm not mad at that. I know it's definitely drawn some criticism, but
I'm trying to figure out from where. I'm trying to figure out the why
of the criticism.
Yeah.
I think it's from kind of what I've seen. People are just like, well, LAFC is, they have such big aspirations and they're such a big club. Like, why would they just settle on a guy that was an assistant? And my response, my answer to that is essentially what you just said. Like, the team is good.
Mm-hmm.
The team is playing good. It's doing everything it's supposed to do. All you got to do is stay the course.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing. Don't go in there and try to screw it up. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't wreck the bus.
Exactly. You have Son, that entered into this league and probably made one of the most immediate impacts of any DP or any player really that we've ever seen outside of like maybe Zlatan, obviously Messi. But I mean, I think consistently Son has stepped in and given all of them a run for their money. So like he's working well with Denny Bouanga. Now that might be a question mark heading into the offseason because, there were it wasn't rumors. Like he mentioned he wanted to go, maybe back to France, wherever. That duo works really well. Yeah. So you got to figure out what you can do to keep him. But as far as like the coaching, just like you said, hold on to the wheel, man, and just follow the route. That's all you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do. So I'm not mad at it. I mean,
Don't run any red lights.
now if the front office decides also at this point, this is when they're going to stop trying to go and spend big on players, then I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to do that. That's not their MO. I think obviously going into the offseason, there's always question marks. There's always going to be changes. And I think you just really, and I'm sure these conversations honestly have already happened or are happening, but you kind of have to say, all right, we have to make decisions on these guys. What are we going to do to replace that's going to keep this team that is operating very well, similar to how it's operating right now?
Yeah, we'll go.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, we'll go over the roster in a second. But yeah, apparently Sun Young-min wants to do the Landon Donovan thing, and he wants to go over, not play for Everton, mind you, but he wants to go overseas in the gap space and continue to play. And he doesn't want to stay. He just wants to kind of, it's like, it's kind of cold. It's kind of cold here in LA. It dropped below 64 yesterday. So I think I want to go over to Europe and play for a couple of months. Is that cool? Get the loan deal squared away. And he just kind of goes over there and plays for a little bit. And then he comes back in time for training camp, that kind of a thing. And I know that everybody in LA is going to sit there and going, don't get hurt, don't get hurt, don't get hurt. Don't, if that goes to pass.
Everybody in South Korea is thinking the same thing.
Oh, brother, you ain't kidding. LA this year, right now, they're on the 2-4. They're on the 2-4. They have the 2 DPs in Bwanga and Sun Young-min, the 4 U22s, which were Igor Jesus, David Martin, Andy Moran, and Artem Smolyakov. So that's not a bad 2-4. All these TAM players. This was the September release from LAFC. Frankie Amaya, Alexandru Baluta, Mark Delgado, Abobasi, Jailson, Aaron Long, Palencia, Porteous, Tillman. Those are your TAMs. Matthew Chouanier is on loan, but you can pick him up long-term. Hollingshead's out of contract after this year. Holmes out of contract after this year on loan. Lloris has an option year. Eddie Segura's got one more. Kosi Tafari is at 25 with an option. Yaya Boa is at 26 with an option. Your supplementals. Do not be surprised if San Diego decides, we're going to take Luca Bombino long-term, considering that he's on loan to San Diego. You've got De La Valle, Thomas Hazel, Kenny Nielsen, David Ochoa, Nathan Ordaz with an option year in 26, Raposo, Saldana, and Wilbowo. So there are some 25s in here where you've got to figure out if you want to sign Andy Moran. The answer is probably yes, you do. Then it's Amaya you've got to look at, an option on Baluta. Jailson, who's a TAM, you've got 2 more option years. Chouanier with options. Hollingshead's out of a deal. Holm is out of a deal. Lloris has an option. That's one that I've really got to look at. Tafari, and then your supplementals where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, crap tons, 7 players with option years they've got to decide. So LAFC, once again, it's those supplemental players and some of your TAMs and some of the filling slots of your roster, not your big name short of Moran that you have to think about. And Lloris, do you pick up the option for 26?
I think you're kind of seeing, in a lot of ways, the inverse of what we kind of saw with Atlanta United, with how many players were on options and or out of contract, in the sense that it does kind of feel like there is more emphasis on playing for your job with LA right now. It just kind of feels, and I'm not, again, I give this caveat every time. I'm not going to sit here and try to question anybody's, desires and motivations and everything else. But I think LA, you're getting the best version of them right now. And in sports psychology, player psychology, a lot of that can definitely come down to, what does my future look like? And how am I going to navigate that? Like, the team is one thing, but I also have to look out for myself. And so, you have so many of these guys, and it does feel like they're stepping up and playing some of the better soccer that we've seen, excuse me, all season. The cold weather is destroying me. It's got me, but no, I mean, again, if I'm the front office for LA, I'm not trying to change too much. I think you can look at not only the playoffs, but then you go back into the latter third of the season,
Yeah.
and look at these guys, folks that are on options and everything else, and say, all right, do I really want to change it up, or do I want to bring this guy back for another year? And I think the answer for many of them is going to be bring him back for another year. Again, if you can.
Hugo Lloris?
I would say, yeah. I mean, it's not that look, he's had his bad moments, like especially when he was first getting settled in. But I think anytime you can have a guy of that caliber, and also there is a relationship there with the newcomer.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've got to try to keep him if you can. If you don't need to free up a ton of cap space, and it doesn't seem like they will. I mean, they have the 2 and 4 model set. So I wouldn't be mad if they did it. I think if the luxury is there to be able to have a guy like Hugo Lloris, you keep him if at all possible.
Okay. We are heading into match days 3. And when you look at a very, very busy, and it is going to be the wall-to-wall busy weekend, match day 3 day. And it's literally just, line it all up and back away. Because you've got the one game on Friday night with Charlotte and NYC. You've got your triple header on Saturday, which they've got them plotted back to back to back, which to me screams that something is going to go long and it's going to crash into the other broadcasts.
100%.
Charlotte NYC tied at a game apiece. Minnesota Seattle tied at a game apiece. Seattle basically, I don't know. We just can't have nice things. I mean, obviously we'll talk to Nico Moreno about it more in depth tomorrow, but Seattle gets out to a big lead, and then Minnesota comes back. Minnesota discovered some offense somewhere under some of the cushions or out by the market. People are throwing fish around, and apparently someone was throwing offense around, and Eric Ramsey caught it and brought it to Lumen. Then Hell is Real version 3 with Cincinnati and Columbus, Messi and Friends in Nashville, and then the 5th match is going to be Sunday Night Soccer with San Diego and Portland. Of the series that have disappeared since your last visit, what has stuck with you when it comes to the ones that are already done as we get ready for match day 3?
The ones that are already done.
Uh-huh.
I think they more or less went kind of the way that I thought. Like, I mean, Vancouver had no business doing anything but what they did against Dallas.
Right.
I mean, that again should have happened, and it did. Again, Philly, Chicago, that went, I think, about as everybody expected as well, with the caveat that Chicago, and I've said it on here before, they could get hot at any time, but they've been so kind of up and down that the playoffs were truly going to be a wild card for them.
Mm-hmm.
But Philly was always going to be a tough ask. So LAFC, Austin, I mean, we just got into talking about how good LAFC was. Austin throughout the matches was, I think anybody could look at that, even unrelated to soccer, and say LAFC just outclassed Austin pretty much all over the pitch. I think the one that kind of threw me, and I say this only because I thought it was going to be done, was the New York Charlotte series. I thought that one was going to go ahead and be wiped out.
Really? Okay.
I did. I was thinking, New York City with their version of home field advantage. And by that, I just mean the fact that they do play at least a game on a baseball field.
Uh-huh. By the 68 on the 68 by 106.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had them taking it over Charlotte in my bracket, and then I had Philly taking them out in the next round. But I don't know. I think that one is like super intriguing at this point. But yeah, I mean, out of the ones that happened before, I wasn't awfully surprised by much of anything, really.
Okay. What do you anticipate in these match day 3s with starting? Let's just go ahead and bust it out on Friday night. Are you thinking that at the bank that it's going to be Charlotte, or are they going to find the rake on the turf and sit there and hit themselves in the head with it?
So obviously, I just said that I put New York as winning that series. I was thinking that they should just go ahead and handle it up at home. I can't see, and this is I'll get to the hell is real thing in a minute, but it kind of looks to me like how I envision that going, and that is you have a game 3 now happening that probably shouldn't have happened, and the team that has, in this case, the momentum is going to be Charlotte, and also they're back home. So like, I think they end up squeaking it out. I don't know that New York is going to be able to just pull the quality, because I do think Charlotte has shown throughout the season that in some of the bigger games that they have played in, I think they're the better team. I think they step up really well.
Okay. Cincinnati and Columbus, hell is real. Like I said, we'll have Chris Doran on the show tomorrow morning in the 9 o'clock block. And I will say this, full disclosure. If you have, and this is the A series that screams out for having both radio options available to you.
Yes.
Something that Apple should be doing anyway, because all it is, if I'm not mistaken, is taking an audio cable out of that booth and routing it from the audio board of the visitors into the wall, into the truck. It's another audio line.
Yep.
That is, if I'm not mistaken with my TV technology, that is all you're doing. You're taking a line into the building, out of the building, into the truck. We're blessed with Mike and Jason, and they are a reason that you should have away options available to you on Apple TV.
Yep.
When you have Chris Doran going head-to-head with Tom Galerter, you need both of these options.
Yes.
People, you need both of these options. I would even venture to sit here and say, in the postseason, as a test case, you need to have both of these options available to you, both home and away, in the playoffs. And you will see how much ish blows up from the listenership of changing channels so you can listen to this kind of stuff. You have Doran and Galerter going at it on the radio side of things in match day 3 at TQL. No Yuya Kubo, because he went straight red dog so. And that is a below the radar key piece for Cincinnati in this matchup. And like I said, I'll get Chris's thoughts on it as well. But this is one where you better get your popcorn and you better just sit there and be ready for it, because you're not leaving your seat for a full 2 hours.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. We're doing like a doubleheader kind of thing.
Ooh.
Watch along for this one and the Miami-Nashville match. For that reason, mainly. And to the radio point, yeah, it's not like it costs Apple much of anything. So just do it, please. Going forward. But it's not like you have to go acquire new talent to fill in 2 seats in a booth. They're already there doing their job. All you got to do is copy it, basically. So, yeah, plug it in. Yuya Kubo, I think that may have changed the trajectory of this entire series. And what I mean by that, so the first match, it was chippy. It was still entertaining, even though it was 1-0.
Yeah.
Right? It was a fun 1-0. But I think the better team won on the day. Then you go up to lower.com. And if you're a Cincy fan, you always knew this was going to be a really, really, really hard thing to do, because lower.com field is a great atmosphere for Columbus. You're not going to go in there and just walk out. And they definitely didn't. But I think it's more so the red card, losing Yuya Kubo, and also just how bad you got trounced, because it wasn't like you got this red card in like the 10th minute and then it all fell apart from there. You really didn't play very good football throughout the entire 90 minutes. So you have to give Wilfred Nancy credit overall for adjusting from the first game. The red card definitely helped them, but the red card wasn't also the reason that Cincy, didn't do much of anything. Like, they struggled. And kind of going back to what I was saying before, I think now, even though you're going back to TQL, to me, this is all Columbus, and they have all the momentum. And so I kind of said it on our show on Monday, but if you're Cincinnati, if you're Pat Noonan, you have to come out in the first 15 minutes and change the channel entirely. You have to get the momentum. You have to get the fans back on their feet, get them involved, get the team hyped up. Because if you don't, and you let Columbus walk in there with the momentum that they have right now and the coach that they have, it's going to be a very, very, very long offseason because you're not going to make it out. So it'll be fun though. It'll be entertaining. Like, as a neutral, I'm so excited about this one. It'll be exciting. And I picked Cincy in my bracket to win the whole thing.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know, right? I am concerned.
You're ruining what's going on.
Yeah.
Can they really do that?
Yep.
So then before we hit the top of the hour, Messi and friends at the Erector Set and Nashville for all the Tostitos in this series. Is this going to be just a reinforcement of Lionel Messi grabbing everybody by the scruff of the neck that's in a pink jersey and sitting there going, "You will do what I tell you to do," so we can go forward in this playoff?
I mean, you would hope so if you're a Miami fan, but also he didn't do it last year against Atlanta. He really didn't do it much in game 2. To be fair, Nashville did a phenomenal job of keeping him from getting involved. And like, to Dale's point, like, Nashville actually did pretty well up until the one moment they didn't. And the one moment they didn't, everybody knew. Everybody knew. The moment he broke left and laid it off so he could take it with his left foot. Even Jake on the broadcast was like, "Oh no."
He's setting it up. He's like,
Yeah.
it's on the left. Ish.
And that was the interesting part with this one too, was those final, I would say, 15 minutes, including stoppage.
Yeah.
It was dicey for Nashville. And I mean, they had done so well the entire match, I thought, at just kind of keeping the central, like the spine of Miami from getting involved, which obviously includes Messi. This year under Mascherano, Messi has been more central. I think typically he likes to, and you like to see him get out wide, get more involved. You haven't seen that as much this year. And I think it's to Miami's detriment. And I'll go back to one of the points that I've been making all week. Rodrigo de Paul has got to be way better than he is. He's going to go out there and make the good passes. He's going to go out there and do the things that Rodrigo de Paul does that he's been doing his entire career. The one thing that he's not doing that bothers me is dictating the tempo of the game and the direction of the game.
Well, but how much is that deferring to, say, Messi and Busquets in the midfield and Suarez, and trying to be a complement instead of an agitator?
I think that's exactly what it is in trying to get them maybe too involved, but it's to the team's detriment. I think, again, with Messi being so central that he has been this season, it's leaving the wings just so pinched in. It's not creating space. And like, Messi can operate in the tiniest amount of space better than anybody in the world, but like, also he still needs some space to operate in. Busquets, I mean, look, he's not the guy that he used to be. He's not as fast as he used to be. He's not as shifty as he used to be. So if I'm DePaul, if I'm Mascherano, I'm telling DePaul,
bruh,
playing out of the back, you need to, and I don't say this very often, but you need to move more horizontal. You need to be left and right, and pick your passes to Busquets. But you need to, the team as a whole needs to be drawing everybody out wider, away as much as possible from Messi, and giving him space to operate. You look at what Nashville did. They essentially just clogged 3 guys right in that central channel and stayed all around Messi. And it was funny. You looked at the it wasn't really a heat map, but the chart of their starting lineup, and then after 45 minutes where they spent most of their time, and it was literally just in the central part of the park. So if I'm at Miami, that's my big change going into game 3.
Okay. So what do we need to know about SNS tonight? Yes, no?
Yep, be there tonight. We're just gonna be chatting a little bit of the academy stuff, kind of the news. Obviously, prayers. I know it's been a minute now. It feels like it was like 2 weeks ago, but Luke Brennan, obviously, hoping
Yes.
he gets better.
Yeah.
But we'll just be chatting a whole bunch of Atlanta United news, having a good time, and getting ready for this weekend.
Right on.
Doing watch alongs this weekend.
Yes, sir. As always, my friend, great to see you. Glad the computer has updated, or at least claims to have updated. And do not be a stranger. And we will catch up with you next week.
Absolutely.
All right. There
See ya.
goes Tyler. And Tyler is going to go try and update his computer more. Let me bring in Dylan. It's a hot tag. And so hot tag Dylan Butler, MLSsoccer.com. Dylan, when was the last time you had to update your desktop?
Sorry about that.
No.
I don't know. I might need to do it though. I'm not sure.
Okay, because when it's always at the most inconvenient time. It's like, you're trying to get on the show, and then all of a sudden your computer says, "No, we're updating," and then what it says 5 minutes, it turns into like 15, and So Tyler was having updating issues with his desktop this morning, and so I was wondering if that turns into some kind of universality that the computer is going to work on its own time, and you can sit there and say, "Look, I need you to be functioning in 5 minutes." Computer kind of sits there and goes, "No, I'm not seeing it."
I mean, it's like an ML or any soccer ref, right? Like you don't exactly know how much time is left.
Yes.
Like the clock will say 8 minutes remaining, and then it's not really 8 minutes; it's longer. But we have no idea how much longer it is.
Yes, and I think that is probably the best description I have heard in quite some time. That is absolutely beyond accurate. Question: we were looking at match day threes as we were heading into your segment as the busiest man in the Northeast, and we were on the Messi and Friends Nashville series. And we were trying to figure out, okay, how does this one look? Is this a slam dunk for Messi and Friends? Does Nashville have a chance and ish here about getting it done on the road? And the question came from Dell about BJ Callahan. Do we think BJ is a really solid coach from his time with the U.S. men's national team and now with Nashville? What say you about what BJ Callahan is or isn't doing in Nashville?
Yeah, I think he's doing a great job. I think for multiple reasons, but you've heard it from a number of pundits and about how he's changed the way they look and they attack, and they've been a forward front foot team under his watch, and it wasn't the case under the previous regime, right?
Which was case under Gary Smith,
no, which was strictly defend and maybe counter. And yeah, no, I think he's done an excellent job for sure.
And when it comes to this match day 3, I mean, obviously for me, I'm looking at it as Nashville's just going in. I'm going to check the juice boxes really quickly so we have a baseline of how badly folks think that this match day 3 is going to go. Minus 204 right now, and obviously we'll talk to Nico about it more in depth tomorrow, but minus 204 at the Erector Set at home. Nashville to win in 90 minutes is a plus 428, draws a plus 380. A lot of folks are just sitting there saying, yeah, fait accompli. That Messi guy is just going to sit there and basically will his team to this kind of a win, and he's going to bring everybody dragging across the finish line in this series. I know that the Herons, they know all about pressure. They know about it on the international stage and all this kind of stuff. But I think Nashville goes into this one with a coach like BJ Callahan with those weapons, and you're going, okay, kind of house money here. Just go and do your thing, and then everything should be as okey doke as possible going in. Everything's just it's going to be what it is. We're going to go in there and do our thing. pressure's all on Inter Miami on this one, I would imagine, obviously, beyond pressure normally.
For sure. And I think if I'm Nashville, I absorb maybe the first 30 minutes of what would likely be a lot of pressure, right, from Miami looking to get that first goal. I think the first goal in this is huge because should Nashville get it now, here come all the additional talk about last year in Atlanta and they can't win the, and MLS Cup playoffs and additional player pressure on Miami. So if Miami nicks one in the first 15 minutes, now it's like, all right, well, if you're Nashville, you've got to chase it, you've got to open the game up, and that's better for Miami. And but yeah, listen, I think if you're BJ Callahan, you're like, all right, let's be cautious for the first 30. Let's make them feel uncomfortable. If there's something there we can get, let's get it. But let's play close to the vest a little bit, and then let's open up for the last 15 of the first half. Maybe we nick one in the closing moments of the first half, and take our chances in the second half.
And they're going to have to do it without Surridge because he picked up that late yellow in match day 2. So yellow card accumulation in the 3-game set means that he will not be available for them. And so I think, to your point, it might have to be done a little closer to the vest in this one because you won't have Sam Surridge because of the late shove that he had on Maxi Falcone. And now you're trying to figure out who that next person is going to be. Is it a Jacob Schaffelberg? Is it somebody else on the board? And we'll talk about it on Friday. But now you've got to find that second weapon because everybody is going to be collapsing on Hani Mukhtar and forcing him to basically get rid of the ball and find those other targets because of the gravity that he's going to get on match day 3.
Yeah. And there's still, there's still a ton of question marks around Miami's defense too, right? So Schaffelberg in the past has come up in big moments and listen, in these elimination games, right? Sometimes the hero isn't the guy that we think of, right?
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know.
Mark Lemke.
Maybe Alex Wheel comes in and does something special. Who knows, right? In a match like this. But without a doubt, I feel like of all of these game 3s, Miami has, I'd even say by far, the most pressure on them.
Yeah, understood. Dylan Butler, MLSsoccer.com, dropping by, discussing match days 2 and 3 as we are wrapping up the opening round. Charlotte and NYC. In this one, Charlotte, and you go back and you look at this one, it goes north of 90, and you had Kalina and Freeze basically in a staring contest. But at the same time, and this seemed to be fairly universal because it happened in the Minnesota series as well, and San Diego and Portland, I don't know. I look at San Diego and Portland, and I'm still trying to figure out how San Diego missed 3 straight PK opportunities in that cycle. Have you seen a grouping of penalty kicks in this postseason that have been as off as we have seen in this postseason? Because there have been a lot of posts, there have been some wides, there have been some skies. It almost seems like there's been more that have not made it in than have made it in.
Yeah, I mean, not as much as this one, right? Like we were blessed with the double post a few years back. There'll be that like singular moment where you're like, oh my God, what the heck? But not this many. And even too, just regulation scuffed PKs, right? Brian Gutierrez and Azuni as well with a terrible PK.
Oh, that was so.
That poor dude, he never looked comfortable. Like I was watching it because I think I was on for that. I don't know. I probably was. And he's like talking to the ref twice. He's picking up the ball a couple times. Like he never looked comfortable. And you just, I even said, I was like, this is not going to be a good kick, just because he was too much in his own head right there.
Yeah, and the end result was just something that was almost pseudo scuffed and was going about 4 miles an hour, and it went right into the keeper, who really.
And then they get the second kick, and
Yeah.
you're like, please don't make him do it. Please.
Yes.
Like, this is like he could maybe never recover from
Yeah,
this moment.
and I mean, look, you're having officials giving folks chances. I think that the number of PKs, I don't have the empirical evidence in front of me, but it seems like through match day twos, we've had a lot of in-game penalties called, and the conversion rate obviously is up for debate. But I think that there have been a lot more instances that have been called for penalties than we have seen, like in a recent that I could think of postseason. It just seems like that a lot more folks are going to the spot.
Yeah, I think that's I don't also have the
You don't have your
statistical
lab
evidence.
coat and your empirical evidence with your
That's a
flip
fair
chart and your.
I would say it's a fair shout, yeah.
Then you look at before we get into the other match day fives, the match day threes, the other match day twos that are gone. You've had Philadelphia take care of business, and Chicago's season is over under Berhalter. You had Vancouver take care of business. The 2-7, I think a lot of folks pretty much figured that it was going to be Vancouver, and that Dallas, thanks for dropping by kind of a thing. You end up with, let's see, who else am I missing that's over? Actually, just those three. It's Chicago and Philly, Dallas and Vancouver, and LA and Austin. So, you look at those three, and I think that those were the ones you sat there and went, yeah, I could see those three being the ones that were done early and getting to look at these game threes for everybody else.
Yeah, if you got a little romantic about it, you were thinking, oh, maybe Chicago at home at
And
SeatGeek.
legitimately, I thought that was what was going to happen. I figured it was going to be an equalizer.
I think I did too. I think I even said it last week. I mean, I was looking through how so many of these went to 3. I was like, man, I just was off my game last week with trying to figure out these things. But that is MLS
Yes.
for you. I thought, yeah, especially the way that they played in game 1 and really pushed the Union to the brink. I was like, they got a fighter's chance in the second one. And even San Diego, Portland, I thought with the first one, I was like, if Portland's going to get something, San Diego's not great at home.
No.
And then when that result went that way, I was like, oh, there's no chance now. And then Portland, again, by the miracle of PKs.
And Gabe Garrett, 90+8 to get it to people.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, no, definitely some surprises here. But, yes, the cream rises to the top. The Shield winners isn't always the case, but, they go through. Vancouver, who was my pick to win this LAFC, which, we've got 3 weeks for that, but oh man, how much fun is that going to be?
Yeah. So, these rookies in the game of soccer, Thomas Mueller and Sun Young Min and Denny Bouanga. Yeah, they've going.
Hopefully Brian White
Yeah,
too.
going into these situations, I don't know about those guys if they can handle this kind of pressure.
Hugo Lloris, yeah, same.
And that was another question we had. We kind of steered the conversation a little bit toward LAFC next year. It looks like Sonny wants to do the Landon Donovan thing in the offseason. He wants to go and get loaned to someplace and go and hang out for 6 weeks. What I did on my winter vacation, I went back I went back to Europe to play. And I know that John Thorrington is probably sitting there going, okay, don't get hurt, don't get hurt, don't get hurt. If that does come to pass.
Don't get hurt and don't like it too
Yes.
much.
And then the question about Hugo Lloris, who's in an option year. He's got an option for 26 after this season. How much of the band do you keep together with Steve Cherundolo leaving, and it's looking like Mark Dos Santos is going to be promoted, the battlefield promotion from lieutenant? He's going to be now Colonel Mark Dos Santos, and he's going to be the head of the battalion there at BMO Stadium. I mean, that's the key. What do you add? How much do you keep together? I mean, there are some questions in probably slots 16 through 30, but not a whole lot from 1 through 16. LAFC is going to be interesting for me in how they add to this with the success that you're anticipating that they're going to have this year with Mark Dos Santos in charge, apparently.
Yeah, no, I hadn't given that thought yet, but I feel like they are one of those teams that always seems to like get a really good grade in the
Mhm.
offseason or in the transfer market. So I'm not too concerned with them and um how they manage their I think they're gonna be
Why do
fine.
you think Dos Santos gets as much heat as he does in the negative? Any ideas? Is it just from the
Uh
time in Vancouver? Is everybody sit there and go,
yeah,
just, eh? Uh,
I think that's what it is. I mean, fair or not, also it's I don't know what number you put it, but one of the premier jobs in MLS,
yeah.
right? So
Also, because I mean, if you're looking at premier gigs in Major League Soccer, obviously you're looking at Messi and friends as one. You're looking at LAG. You're looking at LAFC. You're looking. I mean, obviously, I think that Berhalter's probably elevated Chicago as a top gig because of what has been asked of him to do. NYC, obviously, with heading into Dylan Butler Estates, I think that's a marquee gig because you're in the number one media market in the country, if not the world, and you've got all this stuff happening, and City Football Group with all the expectations that are there. What other places would qualify for the top gig platform for you? Or am I off in my assessment?
no, I mean, I would honestly, I would hope, I would believe it would still be
Yeah.
Atlanta. Um, Although obviously the results have
Right. No, but I think that because
maybe dropped them a little bit in that pecking
right,
order,
I
but
think obviously Atlanta's in that list. Yes. So that's 6. I mean, do you include a Red Bulls because of the media market? Do you include um I mean, that's the other issue in this. It's like, where do you go that may not necessarily be a top media market, but would still be given as a top gig in Major League Soccer? Is there anybody that would fit that, or are we looking at like that top 6 and then you go down from there?
yeah, I think it's that, and then it's college basketball now. It's like almost kind of like the mid
Who's the
majors.
Missouri Valley of Major League Soccer? Arch
um,
Madness involving Sporting Kansas City and Minnesota United.
well, you know what? I don't know, like, but I think Seattle
True,
should be
true.
among that,
Yes,
right?
true.
Maybe 7
Yeah,
teams
yeah.
now.
So the Magnificent Seven, and then you get into everybody else. I think that's probably, I think that's probably a fair shake with the Magnificent Seven, and then you get into the Missouri Valley and the rest of the group of 5 from there. The other note came from Tommy Scoops yesterday. It looks like Marko Mitrovic might be heading to New England to take over the gig there. The
Yeah, New England's like, we saw what happened in San Diego. We like
yeah,
that. The
yeah,
US
raid
youth
the national
national
teams.
team,
Yeah. So yeah,
maybe save a few bucks as
yeah,
well.
raid the national teams and then build with Revs 2 as a part of your fabric there as well. Update from the U17s. They're in the 4th minute. USA and Burkina Faso are goalless. So we're keeping an eye on that one this morning as well. The other finalists that were listed by Tom that are known are Josh Wolf and Vanni Sartini for New England.
Okay.
I
I wouldn't have had Vanni Sartini in my bingo card
for
there.
for New England, yeah, that seems like a bit of an odd pick because
There are some very good Italian restaurants in Providence,
absolutely true.
though.
Yes, you go to the Hill, and we
Yeah,
have
yeah,
this
yeah.
conversation with Michael Parkhurst all the time when he goes. It's like, dude, you go to the Hill, and Mike Connie, he knows all about all that kind of stuff. But yes, if you've never been to Providence, go to the Hill, get good Italian.
Yes,
Bottom line. Um,
yes, 100%.
but if you look at what New England brings to the table, I don't know if Sartini would have been the fit there because of the personality of the club and what Vanny wants to do. considering what we saw with him with the Whitecaps. It seems a little oil and water for me. For him as a finalist, not discounting what he did in Vancouver. Don't get me wrong; he was a fantastic coach with what he was allowed to do in Vancouver. It just seems like a bit of an odd mix with him if it got to that point in New England where he was a finalist. Apparently,
No, I can't disagree with you there. It's it's like, what is that old children's song? One of these things is not like the other,
yeah.
right?
One of these things is not
Like,
quite the same. Absolutely true.
Yeah, that one. I shook my head at for sure.
Yes. So I am. I was intrigued to see that listing of those two, and with the Mitrovic, it's like, okay. To your point, yes, it is a financially viable hire, and you have all of the younger players that are working their way through the system to mix with healthy Sean Kalaya, Heel, a Matt Turner, Leo Campana, etc. So no, I think that it's. I think that that is probably a decent play if you're New England when you're looking at that kind of a thing. So San Diego gets game 3 at the Murph Dragon. You think that they will shake past their woes of playing at home in a mutual elimination game in an MEG? You think they think that they'll get through this one?
I would think so. I mean, I think they shook any of that off probably in the first game, and now they've got Chucky is back, scored a goal. I think probably sets himself up for a start in this one. Yeah, I gotta think that San Diego's class a little bit shines through here and gets past a pesky Portland team.
Portland. And Minnesota and Seattle, Seattle found offense, but they were down 3-0 to find it. I don't know if somebody hid Eric Ramsey's notebook or something, and then they're like, "No, just go play. Just he's going to go look for his notebook." And then they score the 2 goals. I found my notebook, and then they go back to where they were. This one for me, I still am looking at the experience of Seattle in a situation like this. Let me stare at the juice boxes so I can sit there and have my eyes crossed. Seattle. Oh, okay. Seattle favored on the road substantially. It is a plus side 129. Minnesota in a game 3 at a plus 186 at home. I know that there's going to be a lot of folks in the upper Midwest that are going to sit there and jump on that. 90-minute draws a plus 257, but Seattle and the experience for me, I think, wins out in this one, but I'm shocked to see the numbers where they are currently.
I think the only thing that changes that is if it goes to PKs.
Yeah.
And then
off.
Well, then it goes significantly for Minnesota's advantage.
Just don't have Julian Gressel out there to hit a PK because it'll hit the post. That's what it did last time. I think it's the hair. I think because he's the only player that is not either raven-haired or brunette. He is now gone blonde. I think he's the only player that is blonde on that roster, and we saw the.
Is that a thing, by the way, in your neck of the woods, like it is for us with playoffs? Not even just soccer, multiple teams on Long Island. They have this. They all bleach their hair blonde.
Yeah, you have a unifying non-traditional hair color. Yes, that does happen in the postseason.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was just a New York, Long Island thing.
No, because I have seen in high school hockey in Minnesota, they do it where, in addition to the mulets that the players have on display, they actually do non-traditional hair color as a team. Sometimes it is like blue, sometimes it's pink, sometimes it's red. I mean, it is like almost like a corally pink kind of a thing. So no, it is
always blonde here.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you go with your jersey colors, like if your team color is like a green, like the Kelly green and silver of the Eagles. I've seen folks go green. I've seen folks go silver. No, it is something. Oh yeah, as a unifying thing, we'll all have our hair go this certain way. No, it is something.
And as a broadcaster too, it was terrible. Like I just had 12 soccer games in 8 days, and then in one of the championship games, like, I think almost the entire team went blonde, and then they had small numbers in the back of their jerseys, so, like, like, you know how it goes, like, you look to identify, all right, what kind of cleats does this guy have? All
Yeah.
right, so that guy is him. Does he have that guy has a brace, so we know that 8 has a
Yep.
brace, and that kid is blonde. Oh, no, wait a minute, they're all blonde now, like, was that 8 or 9? I can't tell, like, it's
Exactly. And then you got to get out your glasses or the specs. 11th minute, Team USA, the U17s, they are even with Burkina Faso at no goals, but the bomb pop sash that the U17s have busted out today. The bomb pop sash as Albert just shoots it wide of the near post. But I'm digging to
I gotta pop this on
David's
here.
point, FS2. To David's point, the bomb pop sash, I like that. I like that. I'm gonna have
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Nice.
the bomb pop sash definitely gets a plus from me. David.
I also wanna I wanna see if I can get someone in I don't know, I don't know if it's an all of New York State thing or Long Island thing. See how nice and big those numbers are in the
Yes.
back?
Yes. And it's white letters and numerals on a
Yes.
blue jersey. Yeah, so I can tell when Mfasa Burkimas has possession because he's wearing number 7 and it says Burkimas on the back. So no, I'm with you. This is from the home team perspective. This is a fantastic play by the U.S. men's national team, so that the home announcer can see what the U.S. men's national
Yes.
team is looking for. Because at the end of the day, it's all about us and calling the game properly.
Well, yes, because
Yes.
we are the first also to hear from the parents.
And Burkina Faso's road whites are actually really cool because of the collar that they have. And it seems like it's a fairly easy pickup for both numerals as well. It's an off color.
Yeah, you can see those numbers,
So,
though.
numbers and names, I think, for Burkina Faso, it is, but
But the US ones really pop.
yes. And so I like the announcers on this program do in fact approve of the jersey letter and numeral combos in the Burkina Faso USA match. So yes, continue to have this bomb pop set up for the US so we can read them and do very well. So yes, that is we approve. Bottom line, we definitely approve. And now I'm probably going to go to
Yes.
the poorhouse if those things ever go on sale. What are you up to this weekend, sir? Are you on the desk for the triple header that's going to go long?
Double header. Well, the final 2 of those 3. I'm not on Friday night. I'm actually doing color for Hofstra women's volleyball on MSG Network.
Sweet.
Yeah. And I know that you do your homework, so you already knew this, but they are number 1 in the country in opponent hitting percentage.
Wow.
Which means that their defense is legit.
And I mean, it's for me. I've always enjoyed calling volleyball. I guess it's the SoCal in my gene pool, and for me, it's always and I also grew up listening and watching Chris Marlowe and Paul Sunderland.
Sure.
And so that was like my baseline of knowledge was what I saw, and then hearing the two of them call the matches and then kind of taking it from there. So no, it's volleyball for me is fun. I still have to figure out, the rules per conference and college versus any other thing and what it looks like. But no, for me,
And this is a big one too, where Hofstra's taken on Towson, 2 of the top teams in the CAA. Hofstra's got a 9-match winning streak. Towson already has 20 wins on the year, but they just come off a sweep against Stony Brook. They lost 3 out of their last 5. So yeah, and a fun thing too for Hofstra, they've got, I think, I don't know if it's not 14, I don't think, but they've got so many different countries. Like you've got Brazil and France and Turkey and Argentina. It's truly a melting pot, this team, along with a couple of Long Island girls too. So It's a fun team to watch. So I'll be on the call for that one Friday afternoon. Actually, then I go to the table on Saturday where I will be doing the officials replay
Ooh,
system.
you're
Um,
VAR?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I get a bunch of that at Hofstra, including the new basketball rules, which are coaches have a
Oh,
challenge in basketball this year.
okay.
So that'd be different. And then yeah, on the desk for the Saturday 2 and the Sunday 1.
Okay. And when we come back next week and discuss what happened after these 5, and we get ready for a week's delay because of the international window, and everybody runs off and they go and hang out with their international teams, we'll break down what happened this past weekend, and we'll get everybody ready for what's going to be happening 2 weeks down the line, plus any other news that comes across the table. So,
Now that is a week though. I warn you a little bit. That is a week where I have 6 football
okay,
games
well, I mean,
between Friday, Saturday, and
if
Sunday. So hopefully we're together here.
if
But
we are not, then obviously you'll let me know, and then we'll find other things to talk about, and then we'll discuss it in 2 weeks when we're that much closer to what's going on. So we will
correct.
all we will figure it all out as we get to out of match days 3 and heading into the conference semifinals. As always, my friend, it's great to see you. We'll be
Same.
camped out and watching Hofstra volleyball on MSG. The Flying Dutchman win. I know that's not them anymore, but anyway, it was good to let that go. As always, my friend, good to see you. We'll catch up with you next time. All
Bye,
right,
buddy.
there goes Dylan Butler. He's going to go drink his coffee. Oh, what's the mug, by the way? There we go.
Blessed.
Yes, absolutely true. And so he's going to enjoy his coffee, and there he goes. So there goes Dylan. All right, so let's get into the rest of the other news that we have this morning. We talked about what's going on at the San Siro. Kaylor Hodges live on tape coming up just around the corner. Everything going on USL Championship. Okay, so we got to get into what happened Champions League yesterday to get you ready for what's happening Champions League today. Scoring update, 17th minute late, and there are folks in Morocco, so full-blown credit to everybody for the U.S. national team support system that is there in Morocco as the U.S. and Burkina Faso turning into the 18th minute. They are goalless. All right, so yesterday in Champions League, I'm still looking at the tackle that was tackled upon Ashraf Hakimi, and I still cringe. So it was that was a heavy tackle yesterday, and earned a card for Luis Diaz. So in that particular game, that's just one of the things that kind of sticks out to me. Yesterday, in your results, and once again, you're going to have 12:45 and 3 o'clock. So what happened yesterday was this. Atletico Madrid over Royal Union Saint-Gilloise 3-1 at a -385. Monaco got a goal on the board on the road, winning 1-0 at Bodo Glimt at a +181. Juve and Sporting at a +252 on the draw side, 1-1 draw. Liverpool, they got the 1 goal. That's all they needed. 1-0 win over Real Madrid. And now, of course, everyone is sitting there saying, Liverpool is back. So now that they are 3-4 in their last 7. But a big win at home yesterday at a +141. Olympiacos and PSV tied at 1 yesterday at a +266. Bayern and PSG took heavyweight swings at each other. 2-1 Bayern Munich at a +183. Spurs 4-0 over Copenhagen, and that was at a -204. Napoli and Eintracht Frankfurt goalless draw at a +324. Once again, no Kevin De Bruyne for a couple of months. And so it is Scott McTominay, and as we call him, I guess, McTominay now. So goalless draw, Napoli and Eintracht Frankfurt. Arsenal, no problems with the early game against Slavia Prague, winning 3-0 at a -455. And yes, we still do have a landline here in the house for places and people that we just want to give a number to. And I don't know if you guys do this as well, but if there's somebody, you're filling out a piece of paper, you're filling out something, and you're sitting there going, I don't want to give them my real number because I know they're going to hound me. We have a landline still here at the Imitation Palatial Studios, and we give the landline number. And because of our cable setup, we can see who it is that's calling. We have caller ID that pops up on the monitors here inside the studio, and you can see, yeah, no, I'm not going to pick up the phone 10 times out of 9. But I didn't know if you guys do that too, where you sit there and you're like, Yeah, I don't want to give him my real number. It's kind of like you give him an alternate number that you never answer or anything like that. That's what I do. 2 matches at 12:45 today. Karabag and Chelsea. Chelsea on the road to -312, going to play Karabag, who is basically a +800. Paphos and Villarreal once again. Paphos a +830. Villarreal's a -303. Those two are at 12:45. 3 o'clock. Newcastle big favorite against Athletic Bilbao at a -270. Marseille favored at home at a +147 against Atalanta at a +184. Manchester City big favorite at home against Dortmund at a -244. Dortmund north of +600. Inter and Kairat Almaty. Traveling from Azerbaijan to Milan, they can celebrate the new San Siro signing. -2,500 for Inter if you are interested. Kairat Almaty draw is a +1730. And for Kairat Almaty to win is a +5380. Bruges is a +428 at home hosting Barcelona to -192. Benfica a -109 hosting Leverkusen at a +300. Ajax is a +214 hosting Galatasaray at a +116. And so getting into what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it, because we're talking about Champions League. Once again, Paramount Plus has them all. So Paramount Plus has all those matchups. Benfica and Bayer Leverkusen, 3 o'clock CBS Sports Network. This is the back end of the doubleheader for the U.S. For the U17 World Cup on FS2, and it is 22nd minute, no score. Telemundo is also simulcasting the match that I'm watching right now. Paramount Plus, once again, has all the activity in the Champions League, English Championship, 3 matches. QPR, Southampton, Sheffield, Wednesday, Norwich at 2:45. That'll be an interesting watch. Portsmouth and Wrexham is at 3 o'clock. That's also on Paramount Plus. It is World Cup semifinals in FS2 on the women's side for the U17s. That's at 2 o'clock. DAZN USA has Frauen Bundesliga at 1. Tubi has the semifinals in the U17s with Brazil and North Korea. That it's going on right now if you wish to change over to Tubi. And so that is your rundown of what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it going on today. Obviously, North Korea is a heavy favorite to win their 4th U17 women's championship as they head toward the championship in Rabat. Now, we mentioned what's going on in Champions League U17s. We're keeping an eye on that. We've got the matchups that have been announced in the FA Cup, so that is out there now. And you have, I think it's Gateshead going up against our friends from Walsall. If you've missed the interview yesterday that we had with Ben Boycott, the part of the founding group and CEO at Travella over in Birmingham. We'll post the individual interview later today, and you can listen to that in addition to Jason Stevens and our Continuing Economics of Soccer series. Those will be posted to the network today in addition to what we have that we'll post up here as well. So FA Cup breakdown and brackets. So we had the new round pop up. So hang on here. Let me look at the fixture list. The second round draw is now official, and it's for a lot of folks. 20 matches on December the 6th. All of them are kicking off at 3 o'clock local time. So you have, let's see if there's anybody. So Bolton Wanderers is in, Peterborough United, Posh is in. That's where Vicente Reyes currently is. For those of you that might remember your deep cuts with Atlanta United, Petersburg United and Barnsley, Boreham Wood and Newport County. The team that I don't talk about that left Wimbledon to go to other places and go to the suburbs, they're playing Wigan and Barrow, Fleetwood Luton, Salford City, Leyton Orient, Accrington, Stanley, Mansfield, Stockport and Cambridge. Burton Albion is playing Brackley Town, Blackpool, Carlisle, Gateshead and Walsall, Exeter, Wickham, Cheltenham, Buxton, Chesterfield, Doncaster, and Port Vale and Bristol. So that is the round 2 makeup of the FA Cup. That is 3 o'clock local time kicks on December the 6th. Now let's take the tour of the papers and let you know what's going on. Chance for Burkina Faso, 25th minute, and it is still goalless. U.S. with a throw-in. Now, we have our answer to, and I don't know if you know this particular story, but we'll go back and talk about it. We now know the identity, or at least it has been revealed by The Guardian, and a player was threatened at gunpoint by an agent on a North London street. And apparently it is Destiny Udogie who has been named as that footballer. He was out with a friend on the night of the 6th of September when the alleged incident occurred. Police were called, and the agent was detained on suspicion of brandishing the weapon with intent to cause fear of violence. Suspect also investigated for allegedly blackmailing and making threats against Udogie's friend. He has not been charged with any offense. No suggestion the agent concerned is Udogie's agent. Alleged incident happened during the September international break when Udogie was not involved with Italy, hasn't taken any time out from the game, back in action for the Spurs. For Spurs in their matchup against West Ham on the 13th, came on as a sub. So it was first revealed in Italy that it was Destiny Udogie a few hours before Spurs kicked off against Copenhagen. Spurs spokesperson came out with a statement, basically, given this is a legal matter, can't comment any further. They're providing support for Destiny and his family since the incident, will continue to do so. So spokesman, but it is apparently Destiny Udogie who was the player that had a weapon brandished in his face back in September. Paul McGuinness at The Guardian. FIFA heats up the battle with the players' union by sidelining it from welfare talks. The union is not invited to a key meeting in Rabat, Morocco. FIFA represents 65,000 players, including the PFA. FIFA is going to press ahead with plans to develop new proposals for protecting player welfare without consulting the International Trade Union. Meeting of FIFA Professional Players Consultation Forum has been scheduled in Rabat for this Saturday. Players' unions, several nations involved, but not FIFPro. According to the invitation, representatives of football players from around the world, the Rabat meeting will address key issues facing players in the modern game. The invitation also states the cost of flights and accommodations covered by FIFA. Sources close to the governing body say FIFA believes it's a responsibility to move forward with drafting new welfare protocols. Its decision to proceed without involving the global body representing the interests of players comes after FIFPro last year made a complaint to the European Commission over a alleged lack of consultation over the introduction of the Club World Cup. And that process is continuing. And then you got to New York with the Club World Cup, and FIFA had a meeting, and it was on player welfare, inviting national unions, but not FIFPro. President of FIFPro, Sergio Marchi, went on to publicly criticize FIFA over what was regarded as a lack of protection for players in the tournament. And so that continues with this new round in Morocco. Crystal Palace fans have been charged by the FA over a banner of Evangelinas Marinakis. The FA charged Crystal Palace with misconduct after they held up a graphic banner about the owner during the draw at Selhurst Park. And once again, there's been tension between the clubs because of all the Europa League stuff, the MCO stuff that we're talking about, multi-club ownership. And you had Palace in the Holmesdale end held a banner on Marinakis. We go back over the storyline that was there. Crystal Palace has been charged. And let me see if I can find out what the banner actually said and try and Marinakos banner. So if I could do Marinakos banner, and it was August 24th. So what? All the way back to August 24th for that? Oh, was it that one? Okay. They apparently, and August 24th, it was a banner that reads, okay. And so it has a caricature of Marinakis and Morgan Gibbs White. That's all I'm going to say. That's some heavy duty stuff. So they were sanctioned by the FA, and they have alleged club failed to ensure its spectators and or supporters didn't behave in an improper, and anyone purporting to be supporters or followers didn't behave in an improper, offensive, abusive, insulting, and or provocative way during the fixture. So, yeah, the TIFO is out there. So let's just say it has to do with Evangelinas Marinakis and with Morgan Gibbs White. That's all we're going to say about that. That is all we're going to say about it. According to Rob Davies, Chelsea has a £150 million buffer against fines from the FA, and that may make points deductions or suspension from competitions over Roman Abramovich era breaches more likely. It would be unaffected, according to Davies, for any financial penalty for alleged breaches of FA rules. and Clear Lake, part of the Bowley Clear Lake, have agreed to pay. They agreed to pay Abramovich £2.5 billion for Chelsea in 2022. FA has charged the club with 74 rule breaches. On Tuesday, the corporate vehicle that housed Chelsea FC during Abramovich's tenure revealed that does not expect to receive £150 million of the proceeds of the sale from the club. It is said this was owing to a holdback amount, a clause inserted into the takeover deal by Blueco 22, one of the 24 subsidiaries that Bowley Clear Lake have when it comes to operating Chelsea. As a result of the clause, any portion of the total payment is withheld for 5 years to cover the cost of any proceeding in relation to events which took place before the acquisition date up to a value of £150 million. Figures higher than the £100 million buffer that had been previously reported. The accounts reveal for the first time that it has written off the prospect of receiving the sum from Chelsea's new owners owing to, quote, doubts about its recoverability. Sources close to Chelsea say such a clause was not unusual in buyouts of companies, and that it also covered costs such as lost revenue during a period when sanctions against Abramovich meant Chelsea could not sell tickets or merchandise. Football finance experts said Fordstam's admission said it does not expect to receive the holdback amount could indicate that a sporting sanction is more likely than previously thought. Adding the scale of the holdback amount meant that Chelsea and Clear Lake would feel limited impact from a fine. Kieran Maguire says when he was asked about it, it's effectively been taken into consideration in the offer price for the club. Club physically will have to pay the penalty, so there would be a financial consequence. The owners can, in theory, put an extra £150 million into the club and be no worse off than if they paid the full sum of $2.5 billion. So, looks like Bowley Clear Lake are prepping for a fine, and they have up to £150 million to sit there in their bank account and to sit there and figure it out. Let's see. What else am I looking at here? That's it for that paper. And yeah, well, and that's the thing. We don't know if the gentleman that pulled the gun on Destiny Udogie was in fact his agent, but it was an agent, and it looked like it was directed at the individual that was with Destiny Udogie and not Udogie himself. But that's probably going to come out in more and more investigation in the piece, and so we'll find out. We'll find out what it's. We'll find out the rest of the backstory that is there. And speaking of Chelsea, an exclusive to the Times from Martin Ziegler. And once again, we always mention Martin Ziegler. If you have an exclusive with Martin Ziegler, you don't want to be on the other end of it. But apparently, fears have been raised less than half of the £2.35 billion from the sale of Chelsea will end up going to help victims of the war in Ukraine after company accounts said only the, quote, net proceeds would be gifted. And this comes from the continued conversation with Fordstam Limited, the former parent company of Chelsea. Much delayed company accounts have just been published, which suggest that loans to Fordstam, including £1.5 billion owed to Abramovich-owned companies, need to be paid off before the balance is paid to a charitable foundation. That would leave just £923 million from the sale going to charity. 3.5 years after Chelsea was sold, almost nothing, according to Ziegler, has gone to the foundation due to the dispute between Abramovich and the British government over where the money should be spent. Nothing like having that disagreement. Company's balance sheet says the net assets are at 923. No money can be paid from Fordstam's accounts to settle the loans or to the charitable foundation until the Office of Financial Sanctions Implementation grants a license. Nothing in the accounts to say that Abramovich will write off the loans he made to Fordstam, which effectively funded Chelsea in the 2 decades he owned the club. He's had ample opportunity, meaning Abramovich, to make it clear if he intends to cancel the debt, but his only statement on the issue in 2022 talked about net proceeds going to the foundation. Fordstam account shows that £1.429 billion is owed to Camberley International Investments Limited, the Jersey-registered company owned by Abramovich. And once again, then Martin Ziegler goes in and discusses what we're talking about the holdback of the £150 million. Chelsea self-reported to UEFA, the FA, and the Premier League a number of irregular payments surrounding transfers. And then you get the 74 charges that were made by the FA to Abramovich and Chelsea. So keep an eye on that. But I know that we're all kind of collectively shocked that not all of the money would be going in that one direction. So, all right. Apparently, a mural has been defaced involving Trent Alexander-Arnold and his return. And you kind of wish that folks would just not do those kinds of things and spend their time with painting things that need to be painted instead of throwing it at things that are just being flashed over. Rumors, gossip, and innuendo. Real Madrid planned to offload Vinicius Jr. in the summer of 26, according to Sport Bild. Protested against being substituted. Once again, had to make a public apology. Then he came back out when you had Real Madrid and you had Atleti going after each other. When the El Clasico was over, Vinicius Jr. got into that mess. Driving down, they want to avoid the Brazilian. They're trying to renew Vinicius Jr.'s contract despite the stance that no player is bigger than the club, trying to drive down his 150 million euro valuation. Barcelona, Bayern, Spurs continue to look at Dusan Vlahovic as a free agent in the summer, according to Gazzetta dello Sport. Spurs manager Thomas Frank could be reunited with Ivan Toney as the Spurs lead the race to sign him on loan from Al Ahly, according to Team Talk. Permanent moves off the table. Clubs don't want to pay £30 million in January. And the 29-year-old would get a large tax bill if his contract is terminated early. West Ham, Everton also interested. Sporting's Martin Hjulmand on Juve's list of options as they look to sign a midfielder in January. Contract includes a €60 million release clause. Sporting doesn't generally want to stray far from that and insist it's met for a move to happen in the summer window. Bayern willing to go against their approach to contracts for players over 30 to see off Harry Kane and the interest in Barcelona. They have been linked with Kane as a possible Lewandowski replacement. Kane already has 22 goals across all comps, persuaded them to offer him a multi-year deal where they would usually only offer a one-year deal to a player his age. All right, so updating quickly, goalless in the 37th minute with the USA and Burkina Faso, shot from distance right at the keeper, just saved by the U.S. All right, there's been a lot of stuff going on in USL Championship. Yesterday, we were following the story of North Carolina FC as they are not renewing their charter, for lack of a better phrase. Next year, they're going away from USL Championship, and they're still in the playoffs this year. We have that going on. We have the dismissals going on in Colorado Springs. We have round one of the playoffs, which was its own brand of chaos. So we catch up with Kaylor Hodges and find out what's on his mind at the USL, at Kaylor Hodges. Here's the update of everything USL Championship, and there is a lot to get into. Now to the busiest man when it comes to covering the USL and actually having a life and a job and all these other kinds of things. We have finally pinned down Kaylor to discuss everything that's going on in USL Championship. And nothing like going away on vacation and then band competitions at the real world and then having all hell break loose. It started, I want to say like 9:15, 9:20 on Tuesday morning with the word coming out of North Carolina. And then from there, you get Colorado Springs and then all the other things going on. So where would you like to start, sir?
I think the most shocking one for most people would be North Carolina. A couple of us got the text message really late last night or 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
This was happening. I thought that it would be held on to for a little bit longer. I thought that North Carolina or that it would not be leaked until probably after the playoff run.
Right, yeah.
But it got out that North Carolina is going on a hiatus / shutting up shop.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of layers that go on here. Some people would say, didn't OKC Energy take a hiatus? Yes, they did. They're still not back. It was supposed to be 1 year. It has been, looks like 4 now.
Yeah.
So, we can talk all of that. We can also discuss how they have said that they are holding off for Division One, that they would rather wait until Division One comes around. They have a new stadium in the Raleigh area because they know that Raleigh is important to the Premier League footprint. It's not called the Premier League, but it will be. Tony Schultz, that's foreshadowing. And then there's a whole lot that dives into that. And then there is the fact that the USLPA they informed the players 2 nights ago of this. And what they have been talking about is the standards. The last time you and I talked, it was about a 20-minute conversation on the incoming possible lockout.
Yep.
This is what those players are fighting for. This is what the USLPA is fighting for. So you're looking at a USL side from the HQ perspective of we're having a team go under. We're about to have a lot of unemployed players, a lot of unemployed coaches. We are about to have a team who the same team that just folded has just put in an application for Division One. So do we let them back in after they have just showed us they are not financially stable? Then you have a player's side of this is a good reason to lock out. We don't know if we'll even have a job. Will our contracts have a folding clause? We'll talk about that. There's just so much to dive into on the North Carolina front.
Yeah, for those that may follow on the 280-character app, at USL Players is the USLPA, and page 2 of a slideshow. Under the current collective bargaining agreement, NCFC players with contracts for the upcoming season are left with pink slips and just 2 months' salary. There are no other protections. This is their wording as I'm reading the slideshow. As they say, the systemic failure has happened again and again in the USL Championship over the past decade. 12 clubs have shuttered before the 2021 CBA players received nothing after being told their clubs were folding, proving that players are treated as disposable while the league continues to protect owners over workers every time. We're fighting for a new fair standard, 75% of salary when clubs shut down. Bold-faced players shouldn't lose their futures because an owner changes direction. And so that's what the USL Players Association put out on Tuesday afternoon. And it was interesting, a couple of different things, where you had the notification that the North Carolina franchise, however you want to phrase it, their charter, their permission slip, their whatever you want to call it, ends at the end of this season.
Yep.
I guess it's a license. Let's put it that way. So it is an operating license. Ends after this season. And so without an operating license in the USL on the whole, North Carolina FC as an entity is going to sit there and try and wait until 28, have a larger stadium, because WakeMed, and we talked about this on Tuesday morning show, only has a capacity of 10,000. You need at least 15 for Division One, so you've got to find a place for that. And the idea that, and they're betting on the backside of this, that they'll be allowed into this new Division One footprint come 28. There's a lot going on, at least on the licensing front, trying to sit there and figure out what they know what they want to do. Can they get there? That'll be the question.
You know, good friend John Morrissey, USL Tactics, he wrote a fantastic article over on Backheeled. And one thing that he mentioned was there was Malik had the team up for sale last year. This was a very public secret that for North Carolina and NC Courage were essentially up for sale, or he was looking for $100 million loan, which me too, man, to try and fund both clubs, specifically the Courage.
Yeah.
And a lot of us in the USL circles thought that North Carolina was going under last year because he was looking to sell, and it's a lot easier to shut shop on a Division II shop on an NWSL team. So clearly that decision's been made here for him. And one thing I really got to thinking about was, and this is something that John mentions in his Backheeled article. I'm not going to spoil the whole thing because people should read it themselves.
Right.
But he mentions that the net worth of Malik comes from about a $92 million sell on a startup, which I wish I had that.
Yes.
But I'm going to phrase it like this, because $92 million sounds like a lot to Kaylor Hodges.
Yeah.
But if I were to walk up to Arthur Blank and say, I'm going to give you $92 million for Atlanta United, how does that conversation go?
It doesn't, sir.
The levels to what we are talking about and how much money it costs to run a professional club, how much money it costs to have these entities, this is just a different world. $92 million sounds like a lot until you realize that's not liquid cash. That is net worth. And a lot of this stuff comes down to how can we kind of push ourselves to a different net worth, because buying into the USL Championship makes you worth more than buying into League One, right? Maybe not liquid cash, because you might end up being poorer going into the championship. You
Right.
spend more money, you're spending more money on players, coaches, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, League One, less cost of entry, lower salaries. What do you think Division One's going to be? It's going to be easier to sell a new investor on Division One when the net worth is higher, because the net worth is some of the most important thing you can have when you're an ultra rich person. So to me, this feels like a posturing move to try to still sell North Carolina FC. I don't take this in complete good faith that they are waiting for Division One in a 15,000 seat stadium. For me, it feels like posturing to try to sell to a new investor of, look how much more this is worth.
Yeah.
We are selling something that is worth more than what it was before.
And now you have this announcement making its way out into the coverage atmosphere as you're heading into a home game against Rhode Island in the postseason. I mean, there's some gray clouds hanging over this, and I know that we were all looking at this going, wow, the timing on this release could not have been any worse.
Yes, there is a lot of ways to think about this. I got the question on the 280 character app,
Mm-hmm.
and it was, do you feel like this is going to motivate North Carolina players because they are actively fighting for new jobs? Like, do they want to put on as good of a showing as possible because none of their contracts are valuable anymore? There is no more. This is a tryout for every other club in the USL. There's also the side of this that they want to go out together. There is no more next year. There is no, we'll run it back. This is the last time forever with North Carolina FC. But then there's also the side of, oh my God, what just happened?
Mm-hmm.
And we could see this go several ways. Look, a couple years ago when you had San Diego Loyal, right? They played really well. They have some of the best season, one of the best seasons they had in their short history. Phoenix knocks them out. And at the very end, you could kind of see the doom happening on the Loyals players' faces. Easy for me to say. As it was happening, of, oh my God, that's it. And you can feel it in the stadium of, oh my God, this is it.
Yeah.
There is no championship run. There is no more Loyal. But you also have the Northern Colorado Hailstorm side of this. Players weren't being paid. Nobody was getting paid. The league had to jump in. The players had every right to just kind of collapse and curl over and die. They didn't. They win a championship in the Jägermeister Cup. It was turned into one of those things of, screw you, screw the owner, screw everybody. All we have is each other.
Right.
They're leaders in the locker room. If you have the leaders in the locker room that are going to say, no, screw this. We are going to do this. We are going to move on. We are going to do this for each other. Talk about Conway. Conway was in San Diego. He's seen this song and dance before. He's been a part of it in a playoff situation. Maybe he has that kind of experience that can tell everybody, this is all we got. All we have is each other. But if they're not careful, this could end up being a very sad state of affairs.
Now, in addition to that, and like I said, we'll put a bookmark in that because I think that we are barely scratching the surface with North Carolina, because then there's also the courage element that's attached to this, and where the courage fit into all of this dynamic as well with the NWSL, as they have two expansion teams coming in. What are the courage and where are they in all of this right now? Then you have the news out of Colorado Springs, where head coach and sporting director were shown the door on Tuesday, late morning, early afternoon, depending on when you looked at the information. What was your thoughts on Colorado Springs not really wasting a whole lot of time and sending two coaches and front office personnel on their way?
Honestly, I could not be more shocked at Hogan and Chambers getting shown the door.
Yeah.
especially after they win you a championship last year.
Yeah.
They make the playoffs despite, I think, almost everybody coming into the season did not rate Colorado Springs that highly because the roster was decimated and they didn't replace anybody. They didn't bring anyone in. In terms of the Western Arms race, they lost it. Everyone knew it. And maybe that, and he didn't do a good enough job as the sporting director. I'm more or less going to guess that this is owners did not necessarily spend to give him a good roster. And even if you do feel like it's Hogan, do you really find that Chambers and Hogan are tied at the hip? I don't think so. If I am looking, I am telling myself if I'm a caller to have somebody lined up, they have to have something planned. Well, I can tell you with almost certainty, it's not going to be Ryan Martin. Ryan Martin already has another home that he's going to be landing at that will be announced later.
Okay.
So there is the big fish left in the USL from this year. That is Ryan Martin. Okay, well, how about someone like a Phil Lauber who just got released from Oakland?
Mm-hmm.
Are you positive that Phil Lauber, after a half of a season with Oakland, is better than Chambers? I'm not. I think that Chambers has been there for 5 years and maybe they feel like things got stale in the locker room. It's hard to say that the year after you win a championship. How can you truly say things got stale? I don't know. Unless they have a superstar lined up that we don't know about, and maybe somebody is moving clubs that we just do not know about yet. This feels insane to me of a decision that I don't think you can really make sense of it to me.
First round of the USL Championship playoffs had its own moments of chaos attached to it. And so,
which ones didn't?
I know, really.
I couldn't breathe. The biggest blowout was a 2-0 win for New Mexico. That was the biggest blowout of a match. Everything else was
Mm-hmm. And in the East, I know all of us were sitting there saying, okay, yeah, in the East, everything's fine. It's going to be chalk. It's the 1 and the 2. And you're like, oh, sure, absolutely. But then, you end up with Detroit City, Le Rouge getting a win and knocking off Lou City 1-0 at Lynn Family. And then, in addition to that, you end up with Rhode Island and Charleston going full 90, getting nothing, keep going, getting nothing, and then Rhode Island winning in PKs. So the 1 and the 2 in the East are out the door, and now the East has turned into a street fight with the 2 prohibitive teams in the Eastern Conference sitting there and watching with the rest of us.
And if they were to win out, somehow, some way, Tulsa does not make it through.
Mm-hmm.
Who's hosting the USL Finals? North Carolina FC.
Knocking off Loudoun in the opening round, 1-0. You end up with Pittsburgh winning in PKs, knocking off Hartford, who'd gotten hot. North Carolina knocks off Loudoun 1-0. Tulsa knocks off Switchbacks. First round exit, you knock out your sporting director and your head coach. New Mexico United sends San Antonio on their way. Phoenix Rising wins 1-0. Wilmer Cabrera's out in El Paso. I forgot to mention that happening. Yeah. And then Orange County knocks off Sacramento in penalties 5-4. So a lot of the big names are gone, and it has just been a stunning opening round in the championship.
So let me kind of run through this really fast, and I'm going to pull up my notes. So if people hear the clicking, clacking of a keyboard,
absolutely fine.
We had our show. We had our show last night where we talked about everything and what's leading into everything, what led us here. And with the Lou City side, I want to start there. 2 years ago, when Pittsburgh was the Players' Shield winners, I went on the USL show and I said Detroit City is going to give Pittsburgh a scare / beat Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And it had everything to do with Detroit had one of the nastiest defenses I've ever seen.
Yeah.
and Nate Steinwasser was back there somewhere.
Check.
All it took was one moment of magic or PKs. And guess what? Gasso came up and had a moment of magic. Win 1-0. This is not that Detroit City team. It still has the same nuts and bolts. And when you're looking at this back line, you're looking at a Bryant. You're looking at Amamensa. Shane Wheat comes over from Sacramento, but still very good player. But Carl Sedania, who been hit or miss, especially when you compare him to a Steinwasser, it's been a considerable step down for them. But I also think Steinwasser might be the best goalie to ever play in the USL, and I really do believe that.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, if you've ever seen him in person, it is just unbelievable how good he is. Saldana comes up with one of the best saves I have ever seen to claw one out of the top corner and keep it 1-0 after Amamensa puts them up.
Right.
From there, all Detroit City had to do, I say all they had to do, they just had to hold on for dear life.
Yes.
Now, there are cruise out people, into which I think they're insane. And if someone ever looks at you and unironically says, I am cruise out, I don't know, go see a doctor.
Fine, let him go to Major League Soccer and finally coach a franchise there.
I think a couple things may be true here. I think that Cruz may have cooked a little bit too much on some of his decisions.
Okay.
I think taking out a Goodrum, taking out a Serrano may have cost them in the end, bringing on an OMB, a Lancaster, a Gleedle, right? When you could have had your superstars on the pitch. I feel like he was just trying to find anything.
Yeah.
I think maybe he pulled the wrong triggers.
Okay.
But even so, it's a one-game knockout.
Mm-hmm.
Anything can happen. And I think this more or less proves the point, especially when you look at Charleston, Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
There was no bad teams in the USL this year. How many times have I come on this show and said that? There is no bad team in the USL this year. There were just great teams and good teams.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? A good team beat a great team. That's just how it works sometimes. With Rhode Island, this one makes a little bit more sense to me.
Okay.
Rhode Island is a really good team defensively. Really good team defensively. Coque Vegas came second in Golden Glove for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They have a really good back line. They just don't know how to score goals. Well, Cal Jennings gets in 1v1 2 times and forces Coque Vegas to make one save, and the other one, doesn't really, he kind of makes a meal of it. Other than that, Rhode Island kind of played lockdown defense. And they did what Rhode Island did this year. They played defense, could not score. Guess what? It doesn't matter because Arturo Rodriguez skies one over the bar, and that's it. That's how penalties go sometimes.
Yeah.
This one felt like a quintessential we got Rhode Island this year. They are going to defense you and then pray to God they score, a la Detroit City 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now you look over at the West. Despite Colorado Springs' best efforts, where they were knocking on the door, they end up losing. So FC Tulsa, the USL runs through Tulsa, where One Oak Field was absolutely electric. If you did not watch that match, it was, I think they were almost a sellout crowd, right up there with the Lab. You would not really know as a baseball field when you were looking at the atmosphere of the match. And then there's Sacramento, where Sacramento get knocked out by Orange County. It was on CBS Sports Network, and you are just in awe of what's going on. 2 players get sent off, including Roro Lopez, welcome to retirement, big dog, with a red card.
Yeah.
And Colin Shuttler gets brought off the pitch just to have Cadono come on, the backup goalkeeper, I guess the penalty specialist. And what does he do? He saves the penalty to win it all, or to win this match. It was just incredible soccer all throughout. Across the rest of the league, Pittsburgh 0-0 their way with Hartford with penalties once again.
Yeah.
You mentioned North Carolina taking down Loudoun. Loudoun absolutely doing everything in their power to try to win, but North Carolina is just really strong defensively, and they showed it. New Mexico with the most defiant win of everybody. Again, 2-0. Just not what you're expecting when you're playoffs, when you should have the biggest blowouts. But 1-0 from Akale, and then later on, Valentin Noel shows up. And I think everybody knows when they're looking at this Sanchez team with New Mexico that they have the potential to go on a run. If they're getting hot at the right time, good luck. And Phoenix Rising, despite going through weird defensive changes, might have one of the best back lines left in this playoffs. So if there's going to be anybody that can shut down Kaylor in Tulsa, it might be Phoenix. This is just a fascinating playoffs. True coin flips everywhere.
League One really quickly. Chattanooga finishes a close second to 1 Knox, and they're one and done because P-Hop goes in there. Ollie Wright gets the goal, and at
Shocker.
and yeah, I know. And CHI Memorial Stadium gets turned on its head, and Portland now gets to travel to Spokane. Once again, chaos reigns in just smaller numbers when it comes to League One.
Yeah, again, no blowouts here. Absolutely none. I mean, you see Portland, they go up there, it's Ollie Wright, and who else would it be? That's just what they do. And now you're looking at Spokane versus Portland, where I am really interested on what comes of this. You're looking at this is so gross. They had Nico Brett, John Brown. They got Luis Heel. They got Reedy. They got Lewis. They got Bryce. They got Lucky Apara. They got Garcia. They got Miller. They got Waldeck. They got Marinaccio. That's their starting lineup.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at a Washington, a Keegan, an Ollie Wright, a James, a Mikey Lopez, Punagaran. They got Koulibaly, Green. And then Morse, who's the backup, comes in, stands on his head, and plays out of his mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so fascinating what happens in this one. Spokane plays so good defensively, but inviting in pressure from Washington, Titus Washington, and Ollie Wright just feels like the last thing you want to do. They are so lethal when you give them a chance. Also, I'm going to be fascinated to see how many Portland fans go out to Spokane because – I mean, it's not the longest away day in the U.S., but it's dang close.
Yep. And then one other note I wanted to catch up with you about Tony Scholes being now named president of the new USL Division I, coming over and knows all about promotion and relegation, chief football officer of the EF, the English Premier League, and former CEO of Stoke City. He was named president of the new top-tier Division I professional men's league. And so he's got a bit of a runway, but he's going to be in charge of the thing.
Welcome to the job, man. You've been here for 1 day and North Carolina's dead. So thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by this because everybody sees CFO, the chief football officer of the Premier League, and you're like, okay, they're the real deal. I was looking into what the chief football officer does, and it's really just kind of communicating. I'm sure this is a gross oversimplification, and Tony Scholes is going to hear this and be like, you're an idiot. But it's basically communicating with clubs and giving them paths for academies. How do you set up your academy? How do you set yourself up as a club for mass amount of success? How does the money work? And it really is just working with the clubs to make sure that they are doing everything as well as they can. And they really, whenever I was doing the research on what a chief football officer does, it was really talking about the academies, which the USL has been talking about how they want to get more involved with. They want to have better academies going. I'm going to be interested to see what this actually means because being the president of the USL, I mean, or a Division I, obviously big deal. Premier League, he's been working with big teams, big money, all that kind of stuff. But how much do those things truly translate with each other? I'm not sure. But at least they have somebody in charge that this is starting to feel a little bit more real, but not to be doom and gloom. But as we all know, CBA is still knocking in the championship. And if they don't get it sorted out there, the Pro Rel's not going to happen. You can still have a Division I league, but can you get Pro Rel? Because something tells me Division I, getting those standards changed, those professional standards, like the 15,000 seater stadium with North Carolina FC, a lot of other clubs.
Yeah.
A lot of that's going to hinge on if pro rel is happening, because otherwise every single team, if you're going to join the USL, even down in League One, is going to need a 15,000 seater stadium. If they don't get the pro rel part right, the D1 part's not going to happen either. So I'm going to be really fascinated to see how that works.
Kaylor Hodges at Kaylor Hodges at the USL show, and his buddy John Morrissey at USL Tactics, writing his piece over at Backheeled about everything going on at North Carolina FC. So I guess you're never supposed to go on vacation ever again.
Yeah, the week after you come back, everything will fall apart in the leagues that you love. That's what I've learned.
Yep. And so when things continue to grow, Kaylor will catch up with you next week when we have
Yep.
more stuff to talk about in the championship and everything.
League One finals.
Yes, and we're going to get that much closer to the finals. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome back.
Thanks, man.
Kaylor Hodges from the USL show. And their time is slightly busy these days. All right. Update. Second half underway, halfway through the 48th. Goalless. USA and Burkina Faso. Once again, that one is on FS2. While we were gone, Major League Soccer announced their best 11 for this particular year. And it is, I don't have a drum roll. Messi, Bouanga, Dreyer, Christian Roldan, Sebastian Berhalter, and Evander, Alex Freeman, Tristan Blackman, Jacob Glesnes, Kai Wagner, Dane St. Clair. For Messi, most goal contributions by any player this year. Bouanga, second most goals, 24. And that was part of the delineations there. But there you have it. The best 11 is now officially out. It is once again Messi, Bouanga, Dreyer, Christian Roldan, Sebastian Berhalter, Evander, Alex Freeman, Tristan Blackman, Jacob Glesnes, Kai Wagner, and Dane St. Clair. So that is everything else that's going on. All right, we're going to leave you so you can watch the second half of the U17 match involving the U.S. Later tomorrow, it is going to be Chris Doran joining us live on tape. And he's going to talk about Hella's real match day 2. Get us ready for match day 3. Nino and Nico joining us for the Power Hour in hour number 2. Friday is full. Lucas Panzica is going to come on, bat and lead off to talk about Nashville and Messi and friends. Hopefully catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. Kaylin Carr from Apple TV and Major League Soccer is joining us at 10. Will Pelagic, play-by-play voice for Charlotte FC, is going to be joining us at 10:30. We are going to have interviews on tape. Kate Ward from the Women's Deaf National Team. They're heading over to Japan, trying to win their 5th ever championship. She and a lot of folks are retiring at the end of this tournament. We'll talk to her about the last ride. That'll be out on tape. And Nate Miller, the new head coach at AC Boise in USL League One. We're going to have a conversation with him. That's going to roll over to socials and podcatchers as well. And we'll get you ready for the weekend all across the board. That's another go-round of SDH AM. Thanks for hanging out with us for as long as you did. Thanks to everybody in the timeline. Let's see. David, Derek, Dell. Brought to us by the letter D today, I guess. So it is David, Derek, Dell, W1G, Abby, Derek, still D's, 110. Let's see. Soccer for Good OG, Abby, and Alex, and Pars, and David. That's it. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for all of you for hanging out with us as you always do. We're out. End of the show. That means I get to do this.